Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation talking about Adopt a Grandparent Day. What a cool idea. And it's been going strong since 2014 and growing and serving coast counties and just volunteers that eventually formed a 501c. I enjoyed that conversation with Kathy Rogers and Mary Dane Snow. And, again, if there's a theme for Coast Vue, it's we're trying to solve the worst kind of heart trouble, as Bob Hope said it. Just to go back to that quote, if you haven't got any charity in your heart, you have the worst kind of heart trouble. And thank God we have a lot of people in coastal Mississippi who are really focused on charity, giving back, filling gaps, being part of the 1,000 Points of Light here. That's what makes us so resilient. And if there's an underlying message for Coast Vue, boy, that is it for sure. Hey, now let's shift gears and go over to my friend Robby D'Angelo. He's a regular on Coast Vue, someone I love checking in with. He's a human optimization coach. He's trying to solve heart trouble too, but the real muscle part of your heart. How you been, Robby?
Life is good, Ricky. Life is good. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so happy to have another conversation with you and see if we can make a little bit more of an impact.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? You and I had a conversation recently, and you told me that you had experienced some injuries of your own. That you had been in a bodybuilding contest here. You go to Florida, and you're having great success there, and you've been taking yourself to a whole new level in terms of what you're capable of doing and becoming, and then you get an injury or two. I don't remember if it was one or two injuries that set you back. How are you doing?
Yeah, I had a couple injuries that set me back, and it was one of those things where it was interesting because I've been working this goal now for about 3 or 4 years. And I was literally at the best I'd ever looked in the, bodybuilding world. And then two things happened back to back that kept me out of the gym for 2.5 months. And I'm just now, this is my third week back. And it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie, because I'd given so much time, energy, and effort to this goal to then have this uncontrollable setback happen. But isn't that just an analogy for life?
No, it really is. It really is, and it's an analogy for what it takes to be resilient. And sometimes you have to drive through it. Some people have a difficult time driving through it. And you and I talked about this before. I've had this lifelong mission of staying in shape and working out with weights, and I've done it for 40 years. But what you and I talked about before, if, like, for example, during hunting season, if I get too busy and I'm getting some workouts in, but buddy, I'm not at that, what I would call that sweet spot of really feeling good, really feeling on top of it. And if I fall off of that just a little bit, it's hard to find the sweet spot again. It's so hard to get there. It's easy. It takes a long time to get there. It can take a week or two to fall off of it. Why is that so hard to find that spot?
It's hard because anytime we're pushing against the capacity or the limits of our human body, it's just like revving an engine at 7,000 RPMs. If we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not doing the things we need to do, that engine's eventually going to overheat or break down. We have to kind of look at our lives the same way. And what's hard about it is you put so much time, energy, and effort into something, and then that setback comes. We're so goal or outcome focused that we stop rewarding ourselves on the process and the journey of what it takes to get there. But that's ultimately what it's all about.
It's so important. I just checked my Fitbit. I got a new Fitbit, a Sense, that because of my heart issue, it actually tells you if you're an AFib or not. And the battery on it is supposed to last for six days, and the battery only lasted for 2 days. And listen, the last Fitbit I had, it would last for 5 days, and you get spoiled not charging. But anyway, I checked it, and I walked 4.5 miles this morning. And I'll continue to move on. The one thing that I've gotten a lot better at is drinking a lot of water. You preach the importance of water all the time. There's a lot of reasons why it's important. If you drink a lot, you'll end up consuming less calories before the day is out if you do it right and you drink all day long. But you still drink tons of water, don't you?
Even during my setback of not going to the gym, because water is so healthy, I don't just drink water because I'm going to the gym and I'm working out and I'm sweating. I drink water for my health. I was still averaging probably 1.5 gallons a day during that setback, just because I understand how water, like why it's so important to the body.
Yeah. Hey, listen, what you and I have chatted about this before. You're okay. So you've done the bodybuilding in order to refine yourself, to teach yourself, to raise your goals and push yourself to achieve the goals. That's not where you make your living, though. You make your living by coaching others, mentally and physically, helping them sort of find that sweet spot that you and I were just talking about. When you have a setback like an injury like that, and you've had a long period where you haven't had to deal with anything like that, certainly when you were a football player, you dealt with it often. But the point is, though, when you have to get through this, and you say you're back in the gym now 3.5 weeks, how much does having experienced that help you be a better human optimization coach?
I really look at resilience as a muscle that is trained, right? The toughest people you see in life are just the people who have been through the most, and they've kept their eye on the prize. Their vision has been strong. Viktor Frankl wrote an amazing book on this called Man's Search for Meaning. I encourage everyone to read that. But that's really, what I see in my coaching, and for myself personally, is I've been through so much. I know I have confidence in my ability to overcome, because every time I do get in a situation like that, I press forward. And it's really a muscle like anything else in personal growth that if we train, we become stronger in.
What's interesting about what you do now, I know that some people are successful at doing what you do, at being a good coach, etc. Some people are, I don't know how many, who may not necessarily be leading by example. But to be really good at what you do, you have to lead by example, meaning you have to sustain finding that sweet spot, your mental preparation and your physical preparation. You have to find that sweet spot and stay there over the years. And man, that's not easy to do. But in order to be effective at what you do, you have to lead by example, don't you?
You absolutely. And, everybody's heard the expression, practice what you preach. Well, I take it a step further and say I only preach what I practice. And I have to first take care of my own energy, my own confidence, my own vision. I have to first take care of myself to get myself to a level where I can then pour into others. And that's exactly what I teach all my clients to do, is let's take care of yourself. Let's show yourself self-love. Let's build your confidence. That way you're at your highest and best self, showing up for others, and you're able to make a greater impact in the world.
Well, we've talked about it on the show before, so we won't go back through it again, but you were doing your work here in coastal Mississippi. You moved to Florida. You changed the kind of people that are around you. I really respect you for recognizing that in order for you to be a great coach, you have to have great coaches yourself. That, the fact that you have your own coaches. I love that. I love that thought that you don't believe you ever arrive, that you're constantly sharpening your saw, personally, physically, mentally, and that you view coaches just as others use your talent. You see the need for coaches as well. That's a big part of your life, isn't it?
I mean, look, I'm a human like anyone else. I have my own issues and problems like anyone else. I literally last week, I text my mindset coach and say, hey, I need a long one this week. And we had a 2-hour phone call, just working through some stuff and just really exploring some possibilities. And, I have a business coach. When I into bodybuilding, I have a bodybuilding coach. I know that the number one thing that holds people back is not what you see in the mirror. It's what you don't see in the mirror. And that's why coaching is so valuable.
Gosh, that's so powerfully said. Hey, listen, give us a sense of the kind of people you're working with. I mean, I know that you do a wide variety of people that you do personal coaching with, but what's the makeup of the group that you have as clients?
Absolutely. I work with a lot of high achievers, people that have tasted success, but know there's another level they could tap into. Or that person that, yes, they're living a great life, but they want to make more of an impact in the world. They know that they're meant for something more, and that's the level they want to play at. A lot of people that I work with, yes, they are successful, but they know it's bigger than them. So how can I make a greater impact in the world?
What's interesting about that, though, is that certainly while physical fitness might be part of it, the answer you gave is more around sort of the mental side of it.
Well, the way I look at it is it all starts with mental, but in order for us to live our highest and best lives and really show up in the world, we have to charge our battery and have the battery capacity to show up every day like that. So that's why I coach in the physical too, because it's really just protecting your battery and living a quality of life.
That's a great way to say it. That really is. That's pretty cool. Hey, this is Robby D'Angelo. He's a regular here on Coast Vue, human optimization coach from coastal Mississippi. Played football at Southern Miss. Weighed over 300 pounds at one time in his life and went on a mission. And here he is making a living, helping others reach sort of the optimization. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. See you after this break. Welcome back to Coast Vue. I have my friend Robby D'Angelo with us. He's a human optimization coach. He's written, he's done so much in his life, but he lives by example. And it was interesting during the break, which is often the case with Robby and me. We end up going off and talking about all kinds of interesting things. But one of the things that we talked about during the break, I think is something we ought to talk about now, which is where you spend a lot of your time focusing, because you've got a lot of very successful people that you work with. And they tend to be a little self-centered, or they could be. Let's just put it that way. How do you get them focused to really achieve even greater things in their lives and include others in their dreams?
Right. Look, in order to be successful, there has to be a little bit of selfishness to you, because you have to work on yourself. You have to improve your skills, and that does take a little bit of selfishness. I mean, look, practicing self-love is inherently selfish. But it's a good thing to do. Like, there's a certain level of that that's really healthy. But on the other side of that, there's only so much you can achieve in life by yourself. Arnold Schwarzenegger even said there is no such thing as a self-made man. And when I'm working with clients, one of the biggest things I help them understand is, a lot of my clients are entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, and it's literally your obligation to be successful, because when you own a business or an entrepreneur, or you're, at the top of a business, the more success you have in that business, the more of an impact you're having in other people. Most people, literally, the amount of money they make is just a measuring stick of how many people they help. So is it not in your best interest and their best interest for you to go be successful so you can help a lot of people in the process?
So when you're dealing with someone about that, how do you... What is, because okay, so that's a convincing message. So what is it that you're saying to them around the how to begin to think about this? So if somebody's listening today and they said, what does it mean? How do I get beyond me and I and get more to them? How do you coach someone to think that way?
It's just a paradigm shift, because if we're honest with ourselves, and at this point when I'm working with somebody, we've done some deep work. If we're honest with ourselves, we ask ourselves the question, what am I doing all this for? Why do I want these things in my life? Why do I want to be successful? Why do I want power? Why do I want money? Why do I need to add another comma to my bank account? If we're truly honest with ourselves and we're doing the deep work and asking ourselves these questions, it always comes back to one answer: relationships. Relationships are the single most important, fulfilling thing in a human's life. So when we look at that variable, now we can kind of take a step back and realize, if we're doing this for relationships, then now we know it's not just about me. It's about us. It's about the we, and it's about the them.
So when you get through to someone in that way, do you almost like see an aha moment?
You do, because a lot of people, when they're designing their goals or their undeniable life vision that I help them design, it's only big enough for them and only they can fit in it. But now when we're starting to look broader at impact we can make in helping other people in relationships, it's a common cliche, but it's so true. If your vision for your life and if your goals for your life are not big enough to fit other people, then you're not thinking big enough.
Well, it's interesting because, look, you've worked with professional athletes, you've worked with CEOs. Let's just in those two groups, actually. Do you find that the needs or the requirements of a professional athlete is any different than a CEO, for example?
Look, there may be some different tools that we put in place, But it's weird. I gotta be honest with you. So much of what I do is relationship coaching. That's not what I set out to do. But what I realize is the deeper I get into work with people, that's the variable they're looking for. That's honestly that fulfillment that they're missing. So yes, the tools may be a little different, but the outcome almost always is the same.
That's so interesting. I should also point out you do work with professional athletes and CEOs, but then you work with a lot of people who are just trying to better themselves. So they may not be a 100%. CEO yet. They may not be a professional athlete yet. They're just someone out there trying to figure out how to set our goals and as you point out, optimize, become the best version of themselves that they possibly can. And there's some great success stories around that as well, isn't there?
Oh, there's so many good success stories. I mean, I've got clients right now that are hiring new people, giving people jobs. I've got clients that literally are bringing people out of poverty by building new businesses and creating new jobs. I've had clients that started nonprofits. So it's so rewarding to get people at their potential and realizing there's more to life than I and me, because you see the ripple effect of what happens when people do that.
Well, you heard, it's interesting now that you say that. I saw you sort of light up a little bit when I read that Bob Hope quote. If you haven't got any charity in your heart, you have the worst kind of heart trouble. A part of what you're doing actually is putting charity in people's hearts. It's not just dealing with the muscle itself, but trying to help them make a bigger contribution to be one of those 1,000 points of light, in fact, that I talk about all the time. That's what you were thinking about when I read that, wasn't it?
100%. When you look at the research of human fulfillment and what really sets us on fire, it's always self-transcendence, which is becoming the best version of yourself and then helping others get there, giving back to other people. And that's why I get so fired up about it, because I know it's so important to people, but I also know the impact of it.
Yeah, Robby, you're an inspiration. I really enjoy our time together. Really, really appreciate you joining us today, and I look forward to our next conversation. I hope your healing continues, and that you can find that sweet spot again in a shorter period of time.
Absolutely, Rick. It's always a pleasure. We always have a great conversation, and thank you so much for having me on today.
You bet. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.